Hey guys, it's Khadroth again. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about a website called Webcrow. It is a servant planner site, and I think it will be really useful to all of you guys and how you can plot out your account and manage your resources. So let me go ahead and show this to you. Now, the proper name of the site is actually fgosimulator.webcrow.jp. That is its address. As you guys can see here, it is in Japanese, but it is fairly easy to navigate. It has a bunch of different tools for you to use to be able to manage your account. And it's one of the reasons I really want to show it to you guys, especially with Guildfest. You guys are going to be wanting to level up a lot of servants, and you need some way to plot out that path so that you don't end up in a scenario where you are locked out of materials or ascensions and being able to use your embers efficiently. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do is you're going to want to come over here and click on Start Simulation. That is going to take you to this materials page. Now, this may look a little bit daunting because there's a lot of Japanese again, but you guys will notice there's a nice button up here in the top right corner called Language. And yes, you can choose between Japanese and English. This is fairly comprehensive, but the one thing I will say is be careful in the inventory screens as it will stay as Japanese. I have noticed that the easy way for me to do this is to right click and hit translate to English, and that pretty much takes me into something that I can make sense of at that point. And we'll go over this section in a little bit. Okay, so now that we're all in English, everything should be much more legible. To start out here, I don't recommend hitting the all delete button. This button is a little bit nasty on this site because this site works via your internet cookies, so if you delete something, you're not getting it back. Similarly, you want to make sure if you're ever clearing out your internet history that you do not delete the cookies for this website. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a bad situation and maybe delete all of your progress. But there is a way that you can save that. There is a takeover code, and I will show you guys that in a little bit. Now, I'm going to go through each one of these tabs and also briefly mention that there is an instructions tab if you get confused at any point on the site. I'm not going to bother to go through that too much, but it does include some helpful tips like if you're on the site in mobile, that you should use it in portrait orientation and how to basically calculate the skills. So it is worth a read if you get confused, but I'm going to cover most of the basics here with you guys. So let's start over here with the lookup servant category. This is going to be what you're going to be doing. The main purpose of this website is to plot out all of your servants so you can see all of what they need, but it's also really nice in the fact that it allows you to very quickly generate some kind of what if scenarios if you need to see. Maybe you don't need to see all of your resources required across your entire account. Maybe you just want to see 2 or 3 servants because they're coming up here really quickly. You can see all of that just by looking them up and adding them to this list. So as we click on lookup servant, you'll see we get the entire list of all servants in the game striated by class, and this does include up to current on JP. I will make a note, there are some joke ones in here like Solomon. You don't need to plot them in. Don't worry too much about that, but again, you guys can see even the new summer 5 units are in here, so this can be very good. And also at the end, if you click on the all tab, it will display everything for you. Now, just to briefly show you this, I can select a couple of the units here, and you guys will be able to see them all of a sudden displayed if I click the X. So this is what I mean, and you guys can see I've actually already plotted out Gilgamesh. He's already in my account. He is sitting currently at 10, 9, 10. But you can also see I don't have Kentucky. So Kentucky would be a really easy one for me to add. You can set the ascension level that they currently sit at. That will control the ascension materials that it thinks you need. You can set their skill level. So the left side will be where they currently are, and the right side will be where they currently need to be. So this will control exactly how many resources you need for skills. One addendum I would like to put in here is that I've noticed with this website, if you have a servant plotted in at 0 to 4, and you want them to go 1, 1, 1 to 10, 10, 10, it will not consider them as being in your inventory. They will show up, but it won't plot any of the required materials. So one of the tricks that I have for this is to just plot in a skill at rank 2, and that pretty much solves that. They will show up in reports and you'll be able to see all their resources. On most servants, rank 2 of a skill is just going to be a skill gem, and that typically is not going to be one of your biggest concerns or materials that you would be short on or needing to calculate. You do need to be careful though. There are classes like Avenger and Foreigner actually that are going to use ascension materials throughout every rank of a skill. So if you notice some inconsistencies later on with the reports, like maybe a unit in the future and it's showing that you've already consumed a material material that isn't even out yet on NA, that would be why. Don't worry too much about that. You can kind of reason that that is the reason for it and not have to worry too much about being, let's say, 12 short on that one resource. But to show you just the fruits of this labor, now for Gilgamesh, it's not going to show me anything, but for Kentoki, it should show me all of what he needs. And again, as you can see, it shows me the statues that he needs. It shows me the skill gems that he needs. It also shows me the QP, and it's going to show me taking him from 0 to Ascension 4, from the first skill from 2 to 10 because of that prior explanation that we had, but then the other skills 1 to 10, and then it's going to show you Gilgamesh. Nothing is changing on him. All of this is just from Kentoki, and you can actually see here as well, based off the fact that I already had Gilgamesh, all the resources that I consumed in Gil. I've used 2 lores. I've used 147,000 QP, or million, sorry. I've used a butt ton of Proof of the Heroes, a butt ton of dust, some serpent jewels, some hearts, and some dragon reverse scales, as well as the standard gems and statues. Now, the thing I want to show you is this can be used for a lot of stuff. I can plot out Diarmid Saber, who just came out. I can plot out Lan Ling, who's not coming out until Lost Belt 3. I can plot out Lakshmi, who's not coming out until Lost Belt 4. And you can see now, I already have them plotted in because I do a lot of this planning myself on the side. I can see what I want them plotted to. And then if I hit result, I can see just how much it's going to take of all of their skills, all of their ascension materials, all the QP, all the lores that I have planned. This gets really interesting and helpful. This is very dynamic, and it allows you to be able to see within a window in a short period of time everything that you would need, or again, for your entire account over the span of, let's say, the next 2 years if you've plotted all the way up to current on JP. So again, this is why I really like this site as far as servant planning goes. There are other sites like GamePress. There are other tools like spreadsheets out there that can be used to plot out your servants. But I really like Webcrow Simulator here because it allows you to run stuff dynamically on the fly, and it will also remember everything that you have in it. That makes it a very useful tool, both in short term and long term. Also, if you need to clear the list, like I said, there is the all delete button, but I would rather just hit refresh. Pop it back out, go back to English, come back to look up servants. Very quick and easy, as long as you have a good internet connection. The other thing I'd like to point out again is the fact that you have both the results for what you need, the shortage, and the consume tab. So the consume tab will show you if you had a bunch of servants that you had already had progress in, the materials that you had used. The results tab shows you what you're going to need for your current calculation. But shortage, and this is really cool, and I'll show you guys it in action in a minute, this allows you to see what you still need for this calculation minus the materials you already possess. And that's another amazing aspect to this website. So let's jump up here to the inventory tab now. This is where we're going to see everything that we had plotted out in the lookup servant category. So again, you'll see I have to translate it up here to English, but that's very easy. If you guys can speak Japanese, go for it, more power to you, but I can't, and I still managed to make this site work fine. Again, you'll see it's striated by class, and it will show you everybody that I have plotted in at their current skill levels. Now, if I were to add them, I will be able to see where they are headed to, the levels of skills that they require, and then the calculation necessary for them, because obviously it's going to take me time to skill these people up. For instance, we can put in Sigurd, who I've just recently acquired and have only been slightly working on, but you can see I need to level up Sigurd's skills. And again, if we were to hit result, just to show you that shortage, here's the actual amount that he needs. Here's the amount I need. And you guys can see, I'm actually fine. I have all of these gems and statues. I just didn't put them in because it's not a huge thing for me because I'm overflowing with them. But I don't need any ascension materials, and I'm not short on QP. I am good to go ahead and finish him whenever I so choose, and I will do a lot of that during Guildfest. But the important thing is, if you've already plotted out a servant, to make sure you come up to this inventory tab rather than looking up a new variant, because I believe you can input duplicate copies of a servant should you want. You don't want to run the risk of doubling up. And again, if you do want to change, all you have to do is come down here and actually hit the skill button, and this will lock it or allow you to change it. You guys can see I can actually adjust this. I could move this down and say, no, I don't want a lore on him, and then lock that back in. Or again, I can unlock it and increase it to 10, or do anything else that I want. Be careful with this change button. I don't know exactly what it does, and it never seems to generate anything, so that's not how you change the skills. It is over here by clicking the skill 1, 2, or 3 button, or even the ascension button if you so choose. Now the very next thing I want to show you in this inventory tab is the possession item tab. This is where you would input all the materials that you have. You guys can see I do have mine down here in. The important thing for me is the ascension mats. My QP is actually running a little bit low, but that's by design before Guildfest. Guildfest is going to get me a butt ton of QP and Ember, so I'm not too worried about that. The other really cool thing here is you can plot out your gems and statues. I don't bother because I'm swimming in them since I'm a very early player of this game, but for a lot of you guys, especially those of you newer to the game, this will be vital to you to make sure that you don't end up short on, let's say, gems or statues while leveling stuff up. And again, you guys can see I don't have any of the future materials yet, but you can see I have hordes of some of the other ones. And the next tab is where it all comes together, the material calculation tab. So you can see I can do this based off of just sabers, or I can do this based off of all units. Now it's going to tell me that I'm relatively short on gems and statues, but if you can see, this is the total calculation of everything that I need on the results tab. On the shortage tab, this is everything I actually need to farm for. And this can be important for you guys looking forward. This is the part at which you want to be able to sit down and say, okay, how much do I need to farm these? Some of these are materials like Proof of the Heroes here that basically are going to remedy themselves due to a lotto. I'm going to be farming a butt ton of boxes in Guildfest, so this is going to be covered. This material being in the boxes is going to mean that I am not going to have to farm this in the future. Stuff that'll be rarer down the line, let's say ice, I might have to rely on getting that from events, but it's still not such an insurmountable amount that I'm going to have to farm too heavily for it down the line. Free quests maybe would be where I would have to go, but I'm actually going to bet that between that amount right there and the future amounts that we'll get, that I'll be fine just with the incidental drops I'll get from various nodes. Whereas other materials like the bells that will be coming in Lost Belt 3, that will not be enough for me to acquire just via events or nodes. I'm gonna have to actually sit down and farm these to be able to get anywhere close to what I need. And this is why I, again, just find this amazing, as I can see all my future mat requirements and all my future farming needs. It allows me to allocate my time accordingly and be able to sit here and say, hey, look, I really need bullets. Bullets are really bad for me at 751. They might only be a bronze mat, but holy crap, I need a ton. And then there's other materials like steaks where I can at least say, okay, there's a hunting quest for that in the future next year. Yeah, I probably need to farm some, but I can save a good chunk of those for that hunting quest as long as I save my apples or am willing to pop rainbow apples for that, aka quartz. And just for flexing purposes, if you want, there is the consumed tab up here. And again, you guys can see I have a butt ton of materials used over the span of the game. The truly amazing ones here are these bronze materials where you guys can see I've actually consumed that many already. I currently, if you guys remember as well from the possession code, still have quite a few of each of them. So then it makes it even more astounding if I already have 1700 and I have already used 2300. So that's approximately 4,000 proofs. But if you start looking at that and then you look, I'm actually still short on proofs for the future. So that's kind of hilarious and terrifying at the same time. But just so that we're clear again, I have pretty robust plans for my account. Some of you guys might not take your account skill levels too high. You're not going to 999 everything. Even I don't myself, but some of you guys will be fine at rank 6 skills. Some of you guys will be fine at rank 4 skills. It's just going to depend on what your goal is. So again, the more you want to level up skills, the more robust your needs are going to be in the future. So pay attention to that. And you can also see down here as well, the terrifying thing is I need 6 billion QP and 80 lores. That's a lot. And then if you look over here at the consumed and how much I've already used, though, I've used 9 billion and 113. So it's actually not out of the realm of possibility. And last but certainly not least in this inventory section is the final tab, the takeover code. You really want your takeover code. This is what you will need. Paste this somewhere. Put this in your own private Discord, put this in your notepad or a Word document or whatever, but make sure that you copy and paste the entire thing and save it. You don't want to lose this because this is how you would get all of your information back into Webcrow should you have cleared out the cookies. You can use this also to run multiple Webcrow simulations should you so choose. For instance, I have a Webcrow for both my NA account and my JP account. You might have one for your main account or your alt account. So this is how you would do that. You would basically make sure that you keep the takeover code for each one of these. It does not matter if you take over my code, it wouldn't do anything to you and you can't even see it all on the screen right now. Just be careful because there is also one for your items that will drastically speed up the process if you don't want to go through and input all of your items that you possess again. So there's one for both the servants and the items. Just keep that in mind. Now, those were the two most interesting things in Webcrow Simulator. The lookup servant tab and the inventory tab are where you're going to spend the majority of your time. But there's a couple other tabs that I think are worth noting, so let's go into them as well. So the next tab I want to talk about here is the reverse lookup tab. This is amazing. Okay, so you guys can see here that we can see all Ascension materials in the game. Have you ever been curious to know who uses all the giant rings in the game? Well, for Ascension, it's just these 3 units. For skill reinforcement, it's all of these. You can see Sigurd is probably one of the ones draining you, or perhaps even Summer Ushi, these units that are currently out on NA. Be careful, Arjuna Alter and Summer Musashi are going to use a bunch from you too in the future. The reverse lookup can be a really nice tool while you're in here plotting all of this out to be able to see, oh, hey, this is what I need, and I'm curious as to why I need so many, and you can pop in here and look up who uses them. In the meantime, there's the login and event ones, but they appear to be out of date and not at all corresponding to anything going on NA or JP, so don't worry too much about those tabs. And then the last tab that I want to show you guys is the attribute lookup tab. So again, this is a really nice one too. You guys can see I can set this to all classes and come up here to the little cog wheel and say, I'd like to see which servants are dragon servants, which of them are sky and earth, and oh, look at that, it's Lartoria. So you can mix and match anything you want. Which of these are good? Which of these are summer? Which of these are lawful? So it's a really nice little tool here for being able to plot out your attributes as well as see what enemies may be vulnerable to which servant you're using. You can also come down here to the Noble Phantasm tab and go, oh, I'd like to see which one of these are quick, which one of these are support, which one of these are, I don't know, EX demonic or something. And you can see, oh, there you go. Saberface, boom. So there's a quick NP that's anti-Saberface. You can also use the skills one and go, which units are anti-human, which ones are anti-humanoid, which ones are anti-saber, which ones are anti-large. So this is another really nice filter that you can see, and it would allow you to see, hey, maybe there's some additional units out there that allow us to do even more against some of this stuff. And that's a wrap for me, guys. That's all I wanted to do, was go through Webcrow with you guys. I think it'll be really useful for you guys for plotting out your servants, both after Guildfest when you're opening your boxes, as well as for plotting for the next lotto or moving on with your account just in general in the future. It's a very helpful website, and I hope you guys use it in the future and that it helps you out. Again, guys, I don't know what I'll do for my next content just yet. Let me know if you guys have suggestions. If you guys haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. We got a link in the description below, and I will see you all for the next one. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out.